Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, all thoughts and tater tots. How you doing?
How you doing, Bree? It's been a while since we saw you.
It's been a while since
Crocodile.
When do we start?
Oh, we're started.
Live? Are we live?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome, Mr. Jeff of the Strange,
Mr.
Recon.
Strange Recon and Mr.
and our
Paper Bag
special
Man.
other guest, Shane.
Yeah,
We'd love to have Shane on.
We love Shane on, and I will say I'm very excited that Jeff is here, but I had no idea Jeff was even coming. He just messaged me and was like, got a link for later, and I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, Jeff. I didn't know, and I think you should come every Thursday, so...
Oh, wait a
I'm
second.
sending you the link every Thursday.
KARI invited me, didn't you?
Did
You said in my YouTube, can you be free on Thursday for the show?
Oh,
wow, KARI.
I don't remember that.
I just
think I just butted my way into
I was just like, sure, Jeff.
Hold on. But you didn't say anything before the show. You didn't say
No.
Okay.
Like, yeah, sure. Come on. Yeah.
Her door is always open. Her front and her back door is always
especially
open.
for you, Jeff. I would never say no
Especially
to
for
you
you.
to like hang out. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's kind of funny,
I
though.
I made your picture my background on my phone.
No, you did not. No.
She did. She showed it
Yes,
to us
did.
today.
Okay.
Showed it to us today.
Absolutely.
Indeed. I said, is he a model yet?
Jeff.
No, Jif is, but Jeff is.
Jif. The kind
Jif
of
is
Jiffy.
Jeff's
It's all an
twin
illusion.
without a mustache.
It's all an illusion. It's
It was
I actually
great.
I have the lower half of me is I squint.
Jello?
I'm like a multiple
There is no lower half. He's just in the middle.
multiple tentacles
Right.
made out of cottage cheese.
I love that. We always had breakfast then.
Well. What do we do here, guys? What do we
I have
do?
no idea. We act crazy on the internet. No, this is Uninformed, where a bunch of people get together and we talk about topics that we are greatly uninformed in and have no qualifications to be talking about. So we are going to go ahead and pull a topic out of the bowl. Bree, why don't you get us started? And we are going to just yell nonsense at each other.
Sounds like every other show we do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like we may have discussed this. College tuition. Maybe this isn't necessarily like the schooling system like we've talked about, but more like
Yeah. tuition.
how much we're paying for college tuition.
Right.
We all know that there was a big scandal with that as well.
Mhm.
So, Kari, why don't you give us your first thoughts?
I saw the documentary on the scandal. I thought it was pretty wild. They're paying different university intakers and tutors and whatever for like admission to the higher like admission rate colleges or whatever, the higher level Ivy League stuff. It's pretty wild, but it's unsurprising at the same time, right? Like people with money will buy their way into things. That's just the way of the world. So they just got caught because they're stupid.
I have to say I agree with you, and also I think it's like, then is it really as important? Does an Ivy League is supposed to be, obviously if you have money, but you are in a higher bracket,
Right.
smarts wise. So if that's not the case, then Ivy League really is just about who can afford the school. So it's not really about who's smart anymore. It's just who has money.
Yes, just nepotism.
Yeah, it's been the same here though in the UK. We got a place called Eton, and like it's meant to be like the best of the best, but nobody gets good grades from Eton. They're just their parents can afford for them to go there, and then they end up being MPs and prime ministers, powerful people.
And that's like not far from me. That's like
Doesn't
10
that
miles from me.
dilute the education system then?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
100%.
if we look at it from that standpoint, then maybe it shouldn't really be special if you went to those schools.
It's
a prestige thing.
Yeah, it boils down to the elitist clubs running like, you know, the grooming of the next generation to take over. Like it's all hereditary power almost. If
It's
you know
like
what I mean.
so after Eton, a lot of them would go to Oxford Uni, and there's something called the Bullingdon Club, which is basically if you're in the Bullingdon Club, you're like a shoe-in to become prime minister at some point. There's like 4 or 5 members. They're all members at the same time that have since been prime ministers. It's kind of weird.
Jeff, what do you think?
Well, first off, I want to say that I'm still embarrassed that no one realized I was doing. I feel like at first just showed up at someone's house.
No, I feel like
so.
Like
who
you said, we have
invited
no
Jeff?
problem with you
No
being
one
here.
remembers.
No, we're so happy. We're like, are you serious?
No, this is
We love
weird,
that
and I made it weird. But I will say that I don't
Not
think
at
any
all.
Ivory League is good. I think Elephant should be left alone. There shouldn't be a league for Ivory. Second thing, Eton. That is a 2-headed creature from the folklore countryside. And those things run around and club people, and so I don't know about that either. But yeah, let's move on. Let's go.
That's a bad joke, sir. That is an Eton.
Listen,
Just
I
stir
think
in the pot now.
But in America, I think we pronounce it Eton. I can't remember. I don't know. I think we pronounce it wrong.
Okay.
We're just wrong.
I think that education is a weird thing because I think we have we're in an interesting time where like there's a lot of people who actually don't go to higher education and are like billionaires and stuff like that. So I think that there was a time and a place, and there still is for certain jobs and things. Like I don't want a doctor to not go to medical school, right? Like I don't want a doctor who didn't do all of those things, or like I don't necessarily want a lawyer who didn't go to law school, but like I could care less if my mechanic went to a mechanic school or not. If he could fucking fix cars, he fixed cars. No, for real. Like I know people who are self-taught in certain things.
Yeah, no,
like,
I
I don't
can
want a
understand that.
self-taught doctor, but there's people out there who are like great at things. Like some people don't need to go to school for physics. Like
So you're advocating for self-certification.
I'm just saying there's different paths. You don't necessarily need those things. There's some things that, yes, I think that you do need some sort of a degree in, but I think there's just genuinely smart people out there and people who figure things out. And I don't necessarily think a degree is something that you have to have in so many circumstances of life. Like people who work on computers and stuff like that. You know how many people are just computer smart and who didn't have to go to school, that like even like Google recruits people out of high school these days, like straight up skipping going to college. They offer them like $500,000 salary right out of high school.
That's crazy
Graphics
because
artist,
Apple
marketing, like an accountant, even like with cosmetology, you know, I had to do a bunch of schooling and go to state board. You have to do a practical and a written. And now I'm hearing that they're like scrubbing all of that and you can just do it all from home, which is like fucking wild to me. But it's again because you can go to a school where they teach you something, but really a lot of things you kind of learn as you go in the practice of it. sometimes people are better at things from learning as they go than just reading out of a textbook.
No, I can completely concur, but I think with a lot of things, say like mechanics and stuff like that, I feel like if you're self-taught, you should still meet a regulatory standard. Do you know what I mean? So like someone should still come out, check your work and make sure you're competent. You shouldn't be self-referential and be like, yeah, I'm fucking great.
But that's not happening now with people who are mechanics and have so-called like degrees. They go to technical things. Like you graduate and then that's it. That's the end of it. No one checks on you. You aren't certified in any way. So that's what I'm saying. Like there's people out there who learn all of the things.
The graduation is by definition a certification, though, because.
But that's what we're saying. Like that's what we're trying to say. Though,
I can see that. You grow up around it. You learn.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know it, but
people can learn. That's what I mean. People can learn trades and not necessarily have to go to school to do something like that. Like I personally would be fine with someone working on my brakes. Like I've had boyfriends who, you know, grew up doing that and they didn't go to school and I let them work on my car and shit before I didn't die or anything like that. Like I feel like there's certain things. Now, would I want that same person to do fucking surgery on me? Absolutely not, because that's a whole different fucking story. But like I think that there's different just lines to things, and maybe your line is mechanics and like that's chill, but like for me personally, I just think that there's so many trade and skill jobs out there that do not necessarily require a degree in any sense, and I find it just ridiculous that you know 100%. We're paying 20, 30, 40, 100, 20 billion $1,000. People are going into debt for these jobs that at the end of the day aren't even paying them that much. And like there's a lot of useless degrees out there, like people who be getting like fucking art degrees and shit. Like what do you really think you're about to do with your $200,000 art degree and your debt? Like really,
I think a way to fix that problem though would be to make it like education free, which quite a few other countries have done. And like if you then choose to go to university, college or whatnot, you're not stuck with debt. So if you don't get a massive payout at the end of it, you're not losing what you put in, if you know what I mean.
Well, that definitely wouldn't work in the States. I think that's like free education. Like that's just out of. So
here's the thing: our country doesn't value our citizens, and so they don't want to better our citizens, and so giving them any sort of opportunity to better themselves.
You don't have really nationalized infrastructure over in the States, though. Okay. Like you don't have a national health system, and everything's privatized over there. So I can understand.
But to be fair, we think we have the best education.
We think we do, absolutely.
We
think, but we don't. No, for sure.
I love that comment from Michael.
I know, yeah.
So I'm a good example of not having a degree but working on things.
Yeah.
So I work here, you know, I do weather coverage and do documentary work, and all I did was go to college for film like 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm
self-taught.
Yeah. Huh?
I'm literally an internet star, an armchair psychologist, and I didn't go to college. I dropped out after my first semester.
Listen, I don't know what type of doctor y'all go to, but I get my health potions from a guy that definitely went to some sort of learning.
No, but that's actually a really good point, is a lot of people are going more holistic because they're seeing how, especially with the medical industry, a lot of it can be a little bit of a sham. And I mean, I also think it's hard for us to imagine that doctors remember every single thing that they learned.
In the whole world,
they look over things. I mean, how many times are people like, I go to the doctor a million times for this thing, and everyone's like, no, there's nothing wrong. And then all of a sudden, last minute, it's like, oh yeah, you're stage 4 cancer. You got 2 weeks.
That's why I go to a vet.
Right? A vet. But yeah, people are going more holistic, and which you don't need a degree for, and sometimes is helping people.
Listen, I haven't been to a doctor in 10 years. I just smoke copious amounts of marijuana, and I think that marijuana cures everything. Like, for real. I'm convinced. I'm like, oh, you got a cold? Marijuana. Oh, you're sick? Gargle a little vodka? Marijuana.
Yeah. Something like that. That sounds right.
Put some potatoes on your food.
But in that
like
case,
you're in rural 1800s.
But in that case, hold on a second. I don't mean to jump in here, but your original argument, though, Jamie, was that you want a doctor to have a degree. In this case, you're self-diagnosing and medicating with no degree.
I'm not saying that I would go to a doctor.
Let's be like a surgeon.
Ooh, we have the moral high ground.
In an emergency.
Like a surgeon, for example. I don't think you can learn off of playing. What was that fucking game? Was it just called Doctor? or like
Operation.
ER operation. I don't think you learn that way. Like you need to know how to actually maneuver.
You don't say. Who'd have thought that like trying to get
You gotta
a
like
little
cauterize
thing
things and
out
fucking
of a
like
plastic body and not touch a metal circuit would not be training for actual surgery.
He didn't say he just died.
First off, the arm bone was very small compared to the arm. It made no sense.
It made no sense.
No, I think we can all agree that the obviously the education system needs some help, and for sure,
No, they're using operation to train their doctors.
We should start in fucking high schools though. Forget fucking colleges. Jesus fucking Christ. Let's fucking do our college our elementary, middle, and high school fucking experiences, because that's the curriculum that needs fucking changing. Jesus Christ. Start teaching children how to live in the real world and stop teaching them about like World War I. Who cares?
That's why I vote for any candidate. Whoever stops using board games to teach people, I'll stop voting for them. All right. This joke's dead.
Sometimes board games are helpful. You know, my memories as a child of being in therapy, all we did was play board games. I don't think they ever asked me any fucking questions. I think I just sat there and played with board games.
Show me on the snakes and ladders where.
And I love board games. I'm a sucker for any kind of game. So
yeah, we like
I'm
game
into
night.
It. I'm a game.
Tight while the D&D night. What?
Ooh,
I'm not that kind. I mean, I'm not that fucking nerdy. Anyway.
What?
Favorite game? Go.
Should we do voices and everything?
Game?
So tuition bad.
Tuition bad.
Education
unless
bad.
It's insane. Unless it's insane, like an insane career.
Right.
Like I don't want someone screwing around in my mouth.
That's what she said.
Mean,
I was just thinking that was a funny thing to say. Okay, next one.
You're so inappropriate.
Oh, I love this. The PC term is saying gay. Okay. So like when I grew up, and I've noticed now I'm starting to say it again.
That's gay.
Yeah, like you know, like you don't mean anything by it. You're like, you're so fucking gay.
Yeah,
and then like
fine.
you can't do that.
It's 100.
As a gay, I feel like I'm allowed to say it, so like I don't see the problem personally. As a gay,
as a gay,
it's like you take the word back. You know what I mean?
I'm a gay. You're a gay. We're all gays. So let's say gay. Yeah.
I don't think you guys should be using it. And now
Jeff, I have a question. I have a question.
I don't know. I think this whole question's pretty fucking gay, to be honest. But
Jeff, do you think that everybody's a little bit gay?
Probably.
They say sexuality is fluid.
I mean, you don't have that mustache for nothing, right?
Like the other day,
harder for males.
I was playing hide and go seek with my friend Brad, and I said, "Hey, Brad, if you find me, I'll let you have sex with me. I'll be behind the couch." All right.
Renee, that was my sister.
I love that.
She went back to college.
That's an old SNL joke from way back in the day.
It was great, Jeff. I loved it.
I think that sexuality can be super fluid for women because we're naturally sensual and more caring and delicate. I don't think dudes are gay at all. Like
I do. I think that when they're in dressing rooms, they peep at each other's faces.
Yeah, no, bromance is fucking real.
Yeah, for real.
It
yeah,
can be, but I know lots of people who like.
Yeah, see, like this kind of shit.
Are
they all
so guarded.
They all
like
think Ryan Reynolds is hot. They're like, I'm not gay, but Ryan Reynolds is hot as fuck.
Well, I openly.
I'm not gay. I just want to boogie to some Marvin.
Let Kevin Spacey suck my dick. So.
Yeah. See, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gay, but I smashed Hillary Clinton.
I think that you guys are a special batch of folks. Is all I'm saying.
Nah.
Now I've just got Tyler the Creator.
I'm gonna say that's still up for debate.
We love Tyler the Creator.
But isn't the topic like if the word gay is?
Oh, sorry, I got real off.
I just think like I've literally grown up my entire life where everyone I've known, gay or straight, has used gay in a completely other context. It's never been associated with what it has been for the last like 30 years, 20 years.
Until Gen Z came around. And then until Gen Z came around. And then they put a stop to that.
They were like, stop using gay.
You can find like American TV shows like referencing like political correctness in the term with the term gay, like way back in the early 90s, but it's like it's like it doesn't make any sense to how it was used. Like we grew up, it never was used associated with anyone's actual anything. It literally was like guy fell running.
It's gay.
Gay.
And like
Gay
no
also
one
means
ever.
happy and meant happy for a very long time.
It isn't
And
like the
also,
person
when I
stood
see-
up and was like,
when I see somebody fall over, I get happy, so I say gay. Like
I have a whole stack of books on my bookshelf.
You fall, you're like,
Still
"Yeah."
reference
gay.
the word
Yeah.
gay as happy.
Oh
Yeah,
my
eat a rabbit.
god. You got that on a
I've been
camera.
watching a lot of man-on-man porn recently, but I don't know. It seems gay to me.
Yeah, just a little.
All right, that was a bad one.
Sorry, Susan.
No, it's not gay if you say no homo.
Who the fuck is Susan? All right. All right, next. What do we got?
Can't win them all with those. Those are bad.
Indian
I'll put 'em
moon
away.
landing.
Ooh, Indian
The
moon landing.
Indian moon landing.
Why?
I mean, they they tried doing it like 3 or 4 years ago, and it crashed on approach, and then they did it again, and they fixed it, and they landed it. So do you see the Indian guy with the mustache?
All of
That
them?
entire announcement was no fucking bullshit.
say
The
Olive Garden?
funniest thing I've ever seen.
All of them.
We
Olive
contacted
Garden?
the Indian Space Agency for a lunar forecast, and they said, we have all the dark browns on this side, the lighter brown. All right, that was a bad. Cast spelled C-A-S-T-E. That was a reach.
No,
I don't really see the point in other countries trying to get there.
It's ours. Yeah, back up.
We put the fucking
Our
flag
there,
in the
bro.
ground.
Our flag is there, bro. I mean, not you two in the corners, of course.
Here's the thing.
But the rest of
Here's-
us,
wait.
our flag's there, bro.
Point of personal privilege. Here's what I'm concerned with. The fact that they were so poor that they couldn't put a camera on it, and that the only footage we have of it landing is a simulation. And it's not even like an actual video. It's like
You're
pictures.
telling me
Well,
there's a possibility that we have a apparent second fake moon landing.
I'm not saying that
Oh,
it's
there's been
fake.
many
I'm
moon
just
landings. There's
saying,
many moon landings.
I'm just saying
I
that,
believe in
like,
the moon landing. I'm
I
saying
mean, given
apparent. I
Bollywood's
don't believe it.
production recently, I would expect it a bit more. So
But-
have you
yeah, that's
guys-
what I'm saying, a bit more razzle dazzle. But
Yeah, that's what I mean. Have you guys not seen? It's like the
like,
fucking
what are
most
they
epic
really
shit.
doing on the moon if they like don't even have a camera? Like, how are they gonna like study?
this is what I was
anything
gonna say,
or
is
do
I think
anything? I'm
it's
so
a-
confused.
Wait, hold on. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the people that have just like low budget. Maybe the moon is just ghetto.
Maybe the moon's just
Maybe-
ghetto. So they don't want
maybe the
they're not
moon's just
worried
gay.
about sending the
You know,
resources.
A couple things real quick
Moon's
is that
gay.
not everything that goes up there is made to take an optical image. You know, like it's sometimes a very spectral data, sometimes it's a relay thing, sometimes it's just there to pinpoint certain like specific locations.
But I
Also-
guess water, aren't they, this
Wait,
time?
but if this was
But I
our
don't even
very
know.
first time landing a probe on the moon, wouldn't you want to film it a little bit? Like, wouldn't you?
You'd think so.
I'm just saying.
I'm
you would
sorry
think.
I feel like I'm gonna get so much hate when I say this, but yeah, I
Oh,
can't
here we
stop
go.
myself from not saying it.
Okay, go for it. This is a space.
I know,
But-
except it's on the internet, and I apologize. This has nothing to do with anything I am related to professionally. For a country that doesn't even have fucking toilets and you shit in the ground, you're going to the moon?
Mm,
Bullshit.
like you have things to worry about. Bullshit.
Yeah, this
You
is-
told me
Ooh,
that
we
you
have
wouldn't
the
tell
Mohammed
anyone
line.
what you saw me do. All right, sorry.
Oh,
Oh, you're talking about India? I thought you were talking about America.
India.
I
well,
call
there's like
sus.
it's the top like 10% in India that have
It has
basically
a
everything.
camera on it and a rover. Well, then
You know,
why
but one
didn't
thing
they
is
film it?
One thing is really
No,
impressive about
this
these
is
people.
what I was gonna say. Is I'm pretty sure I've seen some footage.
What
I
kind
thought
of
I saw a couple
camera?
of
No,
shots.
it's not footage. It's like a simulation thing. It's not.
They're
It's
like,
not.
oh, it's
actual
a
footage of it
Kodak film.
landing.
We forgot someone has to click the button and then
Jamie,
do the little
You're
and then
incorrect.
click it again.
I
Yeah,
think there is.
that's
You're absolutely just
I
incorrect.
think there's imaging adding to it. Maybe I'm not sure, but there was a video I'm watching right now that shows.
I think that's a simulation. That was like,
No,
just,
this
like,
is
it's
the
not
video
real.
from the
This is
actual thing.
footage.
Okay, this is so 1976, but not.
You
This
know,
does
one
not
thing
prove
about the
anything
Indian
to
Space
me.
Agency you should be impressed by is that they started off like in the 70s and they were literally pushing model rockets to their launch pads that were tiny, and now they have like the cheapest to air launch other than SpaceX. Like Like per 1,000 pounds of payload, they have the small. They charge the smallest amount of money.
Yeah,
very impressive.
Super cheap. Yeah, no, I give them that. But
they said next they're gonna land on the sun. No, I already made this joke on this channel.
Hey.
Never mind. No, that's bad.
I just don't. This
guys
also does not
believe this
convince me
shit
that
right
they
now?
land on the moon. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, this also doesn't convince me that they landed on the moon.
Does that not look like clay?
It looks like cheese.
Well, it's made of the same material and just in a different setting.
That shit's Play-Doh right there. Okay, that's a little bit more. Where are the aliens? I don't see them. I don't believe this at all.
Why does it look like clay? It does really look like clay.
It really does look like a moldable clay.
Ooh, and then what was that blue thing at the end? Yeah, what was that?
That was it.
We don't get anything else?
No, that was it.
Not impressive.
But there was video, so
Here's where I will meet in the middle because I do think that this happened with United States. I do think that people go to the moon, but I think that we're not allowed to film it for whatever reason. I think some crazy shit happens over there.
Yeah, I think there's ritual on the moon for sure.
I'm totally into the ritualistic aspect of the moon as well. And so they could be there, but it could be that you always have to release some sort of like rendering, like you're saying, Jamie, to show to the general public. Doesn't mean you didn't go, but that doesn't mean that the footage is real. That's where I stand.
So we're like talking some Cthulhu shit, like.
No, I feel like there's like a space highway that we put little cars on and we just ride ourselves to the moon and it's all just bullshit.
Or they're
like,
just secretly just shuttling out like Bezos.
Yeah.
The 1%.
John? Okay, hold on. John Lear used to say that we harnessed this in the 50s, that we could make it to the moon in like less than 10 minutes.
Okay, you know John Lear was crazy, right?
Not all the time.
Not all the time. Yeah.
John Lear said that on the moon was a filing cabinet with your date of death on there.
Right?
That you could...
Ooh, I would love to see
Could
that.
be real, Jeff.
Could
Come
be
on.
real. Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
What
I mean,
was
I don't
the
know. The
day?
guy's smart, so.
I do find
know,
it
I've never been
interesting
to the
his
moon.
friendship with Bob Lazar and going out to the desert to see the site. So that stuff I do find more credible. Bob Lazar, so not exactly totally credible.
KARI,
anyway,
will you go
He
alone
was
with me
an
into the
L10.
desert?
What do you call it? I think he was an L1011, I believe what it was called, captain, and he held the highest ranks of like all the different fucking medals and shit you could hold. Like he was the highest of everything. Like he was an excellent pilot. I think people get a little cuckoo when they learn a little bit of the truth. The truth
is not crazy though.
The truth can be cuckoo.
So what was that about the desert, Jamie?
I said, will you go alone with me out into the desert? We can have a vision quest.
Oh,
as long as you don't murder me.
Oh, that's the plan.
It's happened before. It wasn't very cool.
Like,
no, she just wanted to give you a bunch of drugs and then, like, do a little Aleister Crowley shit with you.
Food, yeah, and then like
you're not the first person to approach me to do drugs and shaman stuff. So.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
All right. Any last minute thoughts?
No, I think we're good.
I don't even remember what the topic was we started.
Yeah, I'm so lost.
It was the Russian, the Indian thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Boy and girl friendships.
Ooh,
totally doable.
What is this noise I'm hearing? I don't know.
Yeah, who's trying to grind up their weed right now?
Yeah.
My bad.
Well, I know that sound. Come on now.
I personally find no issue with it. Personally, I think that it doesn't bother me at all.
You were the one that wanted me to put that in the fucking bowl a couple weeks ago.
I know, and now I'm over it.
Now you're over it.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain the reason why you in the first place?
No, because I don't remember, and that's why I'm over it.
Okay, so the context of it is basically like, say you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, and your boyfriend has a very close friend who's also a girl.
I say, cut that bitch. No, I'm
but
sorry.
Then the lines cross a little too much. Like, at what point is it trustworthy? And that other point, do you kind of start to worry, like, oh shit, maybe there's something going on there, or something is going to probably happen?
Okay, here's my thing. I personally trust my partner. I don't trust other people though. Like I don't trust random bitches.
So let's say
I trust him.
Let's say your partner had a friend from a long time ago who decided to move to your town out of nowhere and
wait.
wanted to
This
hang
happened in
out
real
with
life.
your partner
This
for a
genuinely
long
happened in real life, but this wasn't why I wanted to put the topic in there. But this did happen in real life to me.
Sure.
I
and my
was at least
partner.
going hypothetical. You want
Go
to
for it,
air
go
that
for it.
out. I'm just saying,
I
like,
just
at what
don't
point
like
are you like, it's okay? And then being like, this is crossing barriers for me. Boundaries.
At what point, though, in everyone's life are we going to finally admit it? That there is always a possibility.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's like, "Oh,
I've
come on,
never
we're all
had-
so mature." No, I'm sorry.
I can't think of one friend I've had as a guy, like truly, like identifies, dates women. I've never in my life. I'm really trying to think. Ooh, except for maybe Josh's best friend. I've never in my life had a really close friend of mine or someone that I was close to that didn't make constant passes at me. I lost a lot of friendships growing up from people that I thought we were just friends. That line is crossed over and over again, or they wait until you're drunk to really go through with it.
Yeah.
Things get ugly. I've never been able to have like that thing where you're really just friends and you're not like they don't cross that weird line with you.
I mean, but I enjoy when you cross that weird line with me when you get drunk.
Okay, it's different if I'm crossing the line.
Oh, yeah, totally. Rules for thee, but not for me.
She's like, don't call me out, Jesus Christ.
Don't
You know
make
what I
yourself
mean,
aware.
I do. No, I totally know what you mean. It's
all the
there's, like-
time. Like it happened all the time.
Yeah. So like my thing with
I was like,
like
what the fuck?
with
I thought we were fucking friends.
my situation with Corey, like I trust Corey to go and hang out with her, but like she was very obviously very still into him, and it was like very obvious like when they would have conversations and stuff. And so it was more just awkward like from her perspective. It's like I knew that Corey didn't have any interest in her, but it was just weird that she was like very much had interest in him, and it was just like it was awkward. But I didn't care that they were like friends or texting. I felt more bad for her in the situation because like she would text Corey and like want emotional support, and Corey's not that kind of person, and he would just be like and then just like leave her on red for 3 days, and I'm like, oh, poor girl.
But see, that's the thing. There's one person in the party that is crossing the barrier.
For sure, absolutely.
But apparently, some people like Aaron does have a very close friend, is not his wife, and that's cool. There's no lines that were crossed. I know that Josh has had lots of friends that were girls. Not since I came in the picture, but he used to. I know for sure, like in high school, he had like a handful of like best friends that were girls. Not my thing.
It definitely can work, and it does work as long as you set boundaries and know that there's always the implication.
What the fuck is Slapshot?
I think it's just important to have open communication with the people in your life. Like, that's all. Like, I think that if Corey would have not told me about this girl messaging him, then, like, I'd be like, what the fuck? But, like, he was like, ooh, here, look what's happening. So, like, there's a difference in that kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's open.
Maybe I've just always had bad luck. Even, like, people I meet, like, people you meet online or whatever, and you're like, it's all good. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, they're wanting to do weird things.
They're like, ooh, what do you...
Maybe it's just...
Let me show you my UFO, baby.
They're like, have you ever had someone eat Skittles out of your butthole? And then you're like, wait, what? And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're out down having somebody eat Skittles out of your butthole.
You're calling
and
downstairs to room service, being like, can I get a bag of Skittles?
Definitely not the green pack.
Is this 103? Because we already got that call about an hour ago. We already sent them up.
They're on their way. They're on their way, sir.
Why did only 6 come in?
Word
go
of
in,
advice.
but 7 come out.
Enzo was an exception, I will say. Enzo, I met you in person, and it was all good.
Yeah, we met Enzo in person, absolutely, and it was not weird or creepy.
No,
I'm gonna be real with you. I met Bree in person, and it was creepy.
Yeah, I can.
Too.
I can agree.
She just kept giving me her phone and being like, "Pretend you're me."
Right?
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna need more of that this year.
Although
yeah,
the
we won't have
washer and
fun
dryer
anyway.
in Bree's apartment make a really good house beat when they sync up.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh my god, Kari's such a
Boom, boom,
weirdo.
boom,
My
boom, boom,
washing machine going. What's that? What's that noise? Hear that beat? Fucking washing machine.
I love it.
I hear
Okay.
music everywhere. I did it on a plane once where like there were one of the it was like as the thing the jetway is like going dun, 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 dun. I start like doing drums on the chair and everyone looked around at me like because it was like boom boom boom
Okay,
boom boom
Billie
boom.
Eilish's brother.
It was funny. It
Adonis,
was a
or
funny
whatever his
moment
name
where
is.
everyone in the plane
Isn't that like
in Denver really appreciated what I was doing.
Funny. I did not hear any feedback yet from Jeff, and then Shane. I'd like to hear that before I pick the next.
I put my 2 pence in. I said it can work. You just got to set boundaries. Like,
Okay, and then Jeff.
I think it just there's the type of people involved. I don't think it's a normal thing normally. I mean, I just want people to be real with themselves. Have you ever been in like a group of friends and then there's like another person in that group of friends that could be of any different walk of life, and it's suddenly the group dynamic can suddenly shift? I don't know why suddenly people think that wouldn't take place when there's, people are, I don't even want to say, people are immature. They just they're predictable. They're predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like and it's always been that way with humans, and it always will be that way. That's how we got here. You look around, we're everywhere. It's because we were all holding off. It's like,
True.
we're all so good at it. No, because
True.
for those that it works for them, that's great. But I think the vast majority of people would never work for, and that's why they always say like, oh, I don't care who you're friends with. And there you hear questions being asked, like, why are you hanging out with them? Why did I catch you on top of them? Why were you guys wrestling making up?
Yeah.
All right, I had to end with a joke. All right, we can go on now. Sorry.
No, I think that's a great point. It could ultimately be just wired in our DNA as human beings. And I think that that can be put into so many different categories, even just like with monogamy. And I think that even though like our jealousy and our relationships, because we've changed over the years, it comes into play. At the end of it, at the very, very root, there is always a little bit of something there.
Mm-hmm. But that's where boundaries come into it, though. Like, because I'm comfortable enough to say, yeah, you can go be friends with who you want to go be friends with, but I'm also no fool. So that's when boundaries come into it. Like, you start fucking around.
But also, there's like body love. You know what I mean?
It's an invisible force.
But people are always like,
boundaries.
Oh, like I'm dating my best friend. Like this person's my best friend. Or we say that a perfect relationship is built on friendship first. So if you have this person that you're super close with, sometimes when you love someone, you end up finding them beautiful because you love them, opposed to like if you didn't love them, even as a person, you'd be like that fool's fugly. But because you like have an affliction for them, you care for their soul as a person, you then find them beautiful. So can't feelings arise from that naturally?
For sure, absolutely. I think.
Yeah, but then, like I said, it's not a problem. Like, unless boundaries have started to be crossed. Like,
let me ask you, what would happen if you stopped loving that person though? Would they go right back to the way they looked before you?
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
this ugly bastard.
I never noticed that huge mole in your cheek.
Well, I think here's the thing that begs to differ. There's a big difference between how women are attracted to people and how men are attracted to people. So like women tend to be more attracted to people's characteristics and not necessarily the way that they look. Like they can enjoy the way men look, absolutely, but at the end of the day, we more fall in love with the actions and the things that they do, not necessarily what they look like, whereas men tend to typically go after attractive women. Like that's where it starts with them. Like they're not walking in a bar being like, I'm looking for someone to have a good conversation with and blah, blah, blah. They're like walking in being like, I want to find an attractive woman, and that then start a conversation. So I think that there's just a difference in way women and men approach relationships in that sense.
I agree.
Yeah, I think if you really have a good friendship with someone and you love them and then you start to find them beautiful, that it's only a matter of time before like I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
Can you stop talking about a relationship on the internet like that? God.
Okay, next one. Next. Russian moon crash.
Okay, so if nobody knew, Russia crashed into the moon a day or two ago, maybe 2 days. They were attempting to be the first to land at the southern border. They were trying to beat India, and they failed miserably by not being able to control their thrusters. And I just think it's the greatest thing ever, because it's just another thing that Russia has set out to do that they failed miserably at. Like, it just shows this huge pattern of them just epically failing at things, and their country is a failure.
It's like, don't you have a war to fight, bro?
Like,
I think it's just they want to be the best.
Launch? Yeah,
Sort of a lot like America, to be honest. But
this might
very much
tie into another thing that's in the bowl, but I find it very conspicuous that had this gone well, it would have been a very good news point to cover up Prigozhin's death. Like, it would have been really good to blast all over their news coverage, like, wow, Russia's beat India to the moon and da-da-da. Oh,
well, I think that's what they were
the guy
trying
who
to
did
do.
a coup just suddenly died. Don't worry about
And
this, though.
And who's not to say that in Russia they aren't just pretending that they did land on the moon and that they didn't crash? Because remember that one time they sent the dog to space and then just let the dog die, and then they just
We
never
were
talked
reading
about it
about this
again?
the other
Isn't
day,
that
yeah.
Sputnik?
Yeah, no.
That was Leica.
Leica, yeah. and-
Worst episode of Lassie ever.
Mhm.
Rip. I have a hard time talking about it because I visualize it and it breaks my heart.
So it's pretty sad about Leica, and they lied, like, it got there.
There's a long history though of interfering. I just kind of covered a little bit the other day of interfering. The first step to getting the first step to getting to the moon is to crash into it, and that used to be the actual original way to get pictures back from the moon or other moons, just to crash into it. And that was something they achieved in the 60s and the late 50s, the early 60s, right? Just in general, throwing stuff at other astrobodies. But then there's also a long story of us interfering with each other, like shooting each other with weird microwaves and stuff, and to interfere with traffic control, communication, telemetry, all that stuff.
Oh, it could definitely have been.
I kind of have a little conspiracy. I feel like that we should have advanced to the point where enough satellites are on the moon, which there are tons. There are enough satellites in between here and the moon, which there are tons, that there should be a way to interfere with an adversary, even as far as the moon, and doing something, but only if the circumstances are right, which I feel they probably had to utilize other people's assets to achieve that mission, which made that possibility. That's all I'll say about that. Matlock.
Well, so that's the thing about space exploration. So realistically, at the end of the day, no country is doing space exploration by themselves. They're using other countries and other resources in order to do that. You know what I mean? Like, we're using Russia, or we were at one point, to take our astronauts up to the space station, right? Like, we were hitching rides with them. Like, we weren't for a long time.
They got
didn't have our own
telesketch.
rockets.
You can't
Rock
get spicy
almost-
on the ISS,
But
bro.
they had like fires going off and stuff like that because Russia was just being reckless and crazy. And like, space is like, the thing about space is, and I think why we've avoided it for so long, is because space at the end of the day is like a global thing where we have to get together globally and do it, and not just like a nationwide kind of thing. Like, that obviously isn't working. And I don't think that the people in power of our Earth want us to come together in that way in order to do something like that successfully.
I think it's interesting that Enzo brought up the point that Japan also crashed. I'm kind of on the same boat as what Jeff is low-key kind of suggesting.
That was
I think it could definitely be a sabotage.
Roscosmos did say, though, that this was their last. They won't go back to the moon in their lifetime. They don't think that the Russians will have anything to give up in terms of a long-term budget for a Luna operation. And they thought he flat out said it that was probably our last attempt at the moon in our lifetime. So, I mean, that's a considerable failure if it was just a failure, which they happen all the time because space is insanely hard.
Yeah, insane.
But I will say that I am surprised because the Soviets still are like just as
decent
good.
At it. Yeah, they're decent.
I mean, the Chinese have caught up considerably. They've Soviet science and we stole a whole. I mean, we wouldn't have been successful in space without stealing from the Soviets.
We didn't have the
100% true. There's
and
stories
the
of the
Germans,
CIA.
The Germans, realistically.
Yeah, where the fuck is Germany on the moon? God damn it!
But this is
like,
this
hey,
is
we're
way, this is way after that. But the CIA has literally stolen Russian rockets while they were being advertised to the world and reverse engineered them in a single night with NASA scientists, and then put them back together and then woke up the drunk Russians that were supposed to be guarding it, and because they planned the whole thing, and they literally in one night reverse engineered an entire fuel system for the Russians launches because we were having failures where they were having major successes. And so a bunch of counter intelligence and espionage really won a lot of those races when it came to long,
it's true,
4-day missions out there.
Hey, Bree, what was your question, Bree? Question.
So there's this like whole story way back in the day of when we crashed a module on the moon, and then it rang like a bell for like an entire fucking day.
It was like about an hour, but yeah.
And a day.
That was
in my
hour.
mind.
It was like
and that sparked the whole like the moon is hollow theory.
Right.
But now that we have had these multiple crashes from different countries, we didn't hear any ringing or anything like that. So like, what's up with that? Was that entire story fucking fake, or did they just not report it like Kari's saying?
I think maybe
what do you mean not reporting it? Like, but the thing is like if it would have rang, like you would have been able to hear. Like, it's not that it would be to be reported.
You can't
like,
hear in space.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't. So like saying that the bell rang, like realistically, the only people who would be able to hear it were the people who were there. And then those things crashed.
They weren't there.
It. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. The thing, they crashed into the moon. So who is it who's reporting that it rang like a bell? I think that's their original problem, is like somebody saying that it rang like a bell. So was somebody standing outside? That's what I mean. Yeah. Was somebody standing outside and they heard it ring like a bell? Because if that's the case, then somebody had to have been outside at night when the Russians crashed into the moon and nobody said that they heard anything.
The fucking Nazis were. Yeah, I just don't.
Dinosaurs up there.
I don't subscribe to the like. Shit is as hard as we think it is. It's just me.
All right, give us the next one.
Can I say something to that real quick though? Just because I love space. I'm sorry. It's like I'm a sailor, and I like sea is a little micro version of space.
1,000%, yeah. And we actually have explored more of space than we have our own oceans.
It's a nightmare. It's the ocean is a nightmare trying to kill you every second you're on it. Every second you're on it. Just in general, if you can't keep positive buoyancy, it's trying to swallow you up and then corrode everything you have all the time. Space is that times like 1 trillion. And everything's basing off the gravity of every other big astral body. So like you got to plan things precisely. And if all of that goes right, all of the operations of this thing have to then become automatic and go. It's only gotten better with software. I just punched the wall. It's only gotten better with software. I don't know who I'm waving at, but it only got better with software. But you got like for years, or countries and ourselves were just trying to like do it like mechanically. And we did. If you look at all the pictures of like the ladies putting all the computers together for those systems, it's insane. Like,
yeah, but the difference is that you know that because you've been on the water, like many people.
Question.
Civilians, us, have never been in space. We only know that from what we're told.
Yeah. Okay, wait, I have a question. Jeff, if like NASA approached you and they were like, hey, we're going to put you in a space probe and just kind of like throw you out into space like you were like on a sailboat in the ocean, would you do it?
Well, I would not just do it. I would want to know full control of what's going on with the spacecraft. If I could fly it, know what's up with it. No, that's the thing about...
You're just going out into space and never coming back. You're just sitting there. I
would like to go kill myself.
Pretty much. Like you're going as far as you could possibly go.
NASA, never a
straight
answer.
No, I was trying to find the joke to what you just said, but no, I don't know. I wouldn't do that.
I would.
But I've sailed quite far offshore, and I'll tell you, I'm a wuss when it comes to certain things, and like it's crazy how dangerous that is, and we've been doing it basically forever. Space is gnarlier. Like it has like something as small as like the tip of a pencil flying through your head, like in space. A cosmic ray hitting you and making you go blind for a moment, and then you never being right again one day, and like that's all happening. All of this.
That's why we pack it with poo-poos.
It's just space is the craziest thing ever, and I think it's the worst name. It's because the name is space. It sounds like we don't know, like empty. It's like
Mm.
nothing.
The
But it's
whole
really,
nothing.
it's whatever the hell it is. It's it's
vacuum.
absolutely.
Honestly, those are my scariest dreams. Is when I'm in space. Those are
Oh.
always my scariest dreams.
Well, when you say people tell you, I just want to say real quick, like there are so many private corporations doing it. They do it like originally based off of like exemptions and the work of others, and they've been doing it for so long. Like all of their work is pretty much public. Sometimes you can watch every step of the way, like literally go to YouTube and watch from like the very beginning when they're launching stuff with a balloon all the way to like they're have huge rockets out there and doing it, and like what they're doing with them all along, because they don't have a reason. They're not working with the military to, they have some proprietary stuff, but I think space is real.
I just need they have to get the fuck off this planet. That's
It's
what
real
it
and
is.
it's full of dark matter.
They're like, get me
black
out of
holes.
here! Get me
All
out
right,
of
give
here!
us the next topic, B.
Space is fake.
Ooh. Space is fake. It's a projection. It's a hologram.
Oh, I feel like this is recent.
Is it like a dome from fucking what's it? What's that Jim
The
Carrey movie?
filament.
Truman Show.
Filament.
Yeah, is
The
it like the
Truman
dome from the Truman
Show.
Show?
I love that movie.
That's what people thought about that other random thing. I don't know if you guys remember a month or probably like 2 months ago. There was like a random chunk of something that was like on the shore. And they're like, we don't know what the fuck this is. And people are like comparing
I
it
vaguely
to.
remember that, yeah.
People were comparing it to in the Truman Show when that
The light falls
random
out of the
chunk,
sky.
yeah, the light falls down. He's like, the fuck is this? Can you bring up our mugshot?
Oh, perfect.
It's the best
This is what I
mugshot.
pulled.
It's great.
Did you pull
I
Donald
wanted
Trump
to
being
give it to
arrested?
John Wayne.
I just pulled Donald Jail.
Was it Cryptid Corner time?
Jail.
Donald J.
Jail. I think it's a glorious day that it's really funny. He apparently sent out some text messages. Like people are on his like text message list, you know, his campaign donation shit. And he like he went out and like was like, I'm gonna ask you guys for money. I need you guys to help. It's ridiculous. This is you're arresting me. This is the first time in my life I've been arrested. And it's like this is like your 4th time being arrested, Donald. What the fuck are you talking about? Like literally.
Is it
This man's
really?
wild.
It's my
Technically,
first
yes.
time in Georgia.
It's a very dangerous jail, and I need your guys' contributions to keep me safe.
I hear
Somebody
Rudy's in there. Rudy, he's
Say
a great
somebody
guy.
please.
Sweaty.
We're gonna be cellmates. We're gonna be cellmates, guys. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah, so it's obviously we all know he's not spending time there.
No.
I figured that they would have treated him like Martha Stewart anyway. At least she was balls enough to do her time. She's like, I ain't snitching.
Because she's
I'm
a
a
fucking
fan
G.
here.
Exactly.
She's a G.
Yeah.
I
That's why
figured it would
Snoop
be
Dogg
like
likes
when
her.
Paris Hilton went. We would just like put them in a cell by themselves. They still
No.
get filet mignon. But it is interesting to see because a lot of people speculation being like that won't happen. They won't do that. They're just saying it. And today was the day.
I've seen a lot of people talking that he's pulling a Putin though. So this time around, he's not standing for election. He's got a
Pulling
puppet
a
running. And then his next time around, he's going to come back like the glorious savior already.
People are saying Trump 2024, so it'll be 2028, and he'll be how
Yeah.
old?
Yeah.
87 or something.
Well,
At least he'll probably be on enough cocaine to keep him more coherent.
this
than
is what
Joe
I mean.
Biden.
Like, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I honestly feel bad for whoever has to change his diaper.
I'm glad that they're televising the trial.
Will they
'cause
give
that'll
him
be-
diapers
that'll
in
be watched.
jail? Or will
No.
he just have to shit himself?
Well, even if he goes to jail, he won't be in like.
No, he won't.
He'll get like the
He'll be
special.
so white collar.
You know, like the conjugal rooms that they get. He'll have like a whole.
Be like one
a
of
whole
those. He'll have like a
complex,
little
yeah.
couch, a little bed.
The cot will still be memory foam.
This
Yeah.
is so
Bank on it.
unprecedented, though. Like, does a president get a presidential suite in a jail? 'Cause he's president for life, though, isn't he? Like,
Do we
so.
keep calling him president after he's a
Yeah,
convicted criminal?
Well, we have
I mean,
to do. We
I know he's not yet, but
institutionally,
when he
he's
is.
still
yeah,
President
like,
Trump.
so our
The,
prime
the
minister-
media uses it as a point of disrespect to say Mr. Trump, but
Mm.
I don't understand
legally
why he
he's
carries the
still
title.
President Trump.
He
I don't either.
preside.
I feel
President
like we should start
preside.
calling
He's not
him
presiding.
One-time president or impeached president.
Can someone ask me or answer me a question? This is totally off topic. I feel like if Tony's here in the chat, maybe he would be able to answer this. Why do people keep saying they want to impeach Hunter Biden if he's not in office?
Because they think that Hunter Biden is in charge of Joe Biden and he's running the White House.
Is there like proof of that?
I think they want to impeach Joe Biden.
No, people are saying Hunter Biden.
They're dumb. The reason I get the reason why, but they're dumb for asking for that outcome. So the reason why is because on the laptop there are emails that show that Ukrainian gas companies and China had a lot of leverage on Hunter, and basically Joe Biden knew about it. He's denied it publicly, but it shows in this emails that he was getting like 10% of any of the money Hunter was making. He got like $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife or some shit. Like, there's a lot of like weird transaction stuff that goes on with Hunter and Joe. So I think asking for Hunter to be impeached or whatever, indicted. Well, he can be indicted, but not impeached because he's not a sitting member of.
He's not in charge of anything. Yeah.
So people asking for that stupid, but the reasons I get it
because he's Joe's son.
Yeah, they're just like throwing shit. Yeah, it's just literally association. Yeah.
Yeah, but that being said, the business ties between him, Burisma, China, and Joe are very
Biden's not whiter than white.
No.
So tell me why it is that sometimes Joe is way too stupid to tie his own shoelace. He has no idea what's going on.
Alzheimer's.
And then sometimes Joe is so smart that he's so into all of these little
because they pump him full of like Adderall and cocaine.
Alzheimer drugs.
So again, there's just more excuses. There's more things that you have to add to story.
Because people say things because of the narrative that they want, and so that's the narrative that they go with. It's not necessarily that it's true. It's that they're just trying to prove a point. So they are constantly changing their opinion on him to prove their point. It's like the same way when people use shit inside of the Bible. It's like they just contradict themselves with shit. They'll use one quote and not another, and then be like, "Oh, see what I'm saying here?" It's the same kind of stuff.
I saw the
funniest people grasping at straws.
What's that cat? Is it Cat Jones? Who is it?
For someone who doesn't have a political stake in your guys' like race,
I don't.
Like, I don't either.
Biden definitely isn't whiter than white in some of the accusations that have been thrown around in recent years. So I wouldn't.
I'm just saying he's either stupid in his sleep or he's smart and he's making moves. People need to make
I've got two theories on this. I reckon he's either got some hardcore Alzheimer drugs and they pump him full of like some mad fucking drugs.
Why wouldn't they just do that all the time then, so he doesn't get up and go?
Because Alzheimer's.
Because you can only give him so much.
Yeah, because like it's only like
no.
Alzheimer's is a very progressive disease, so it only affects at certain times and stuff. So that could be the point as well. As like
this is true.
He is slipping mentally, and they're just not.
I was a living terror for my granddad as he declined, and he has good days and bad days, right?
Or he's an actor.
With our fucking Congress and our Senate full of these 300-year-old fucking 8 billion
Dianne
term
Feinstein,
fucking
Mitch McConnell.
Who realistically at the end of the day are the people who are making our decisions for us. People say, oh, the president. The president realistically isn't like voting things. Like, yeah, he's signing stuff and making it official or whatever. But at the end of the day, the people who are voting for our rights and dictating what we do or don't do are these like 300-year-old people who are literally having strokes in front of Congress and then like showing back up the next day and voting.
Tony's saying it's only 25%. I call bullshit.
Yeah, but say like, what's that percentage over 60?
Yeah, but don't you have this thing where you can't run for Congress unless you're over 40? Because I think that's fucking absurd.
It's 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
These people are all party leaders. They're well-respected party leaders of proteges and stuff, all trying to do
wait. AOC was 35 when she was elected?
Yeah, you have to be 35, I believe.
There's no way.
There's no way we give a minimum age, but we don't give a maximum age.
She's 42 years old.
So stupid.
I have no idea.
She's 33 right now.
Then how?
Then how old? Yeah, then how old do you have to be?
You sure it's not 25?
Maybe it's 25.
Well,
he's only 33.
I don't know. Same
I was
age
gonna
as
say
you,
she
Bree.
isn't 42. Like,
I'm not 33 yet. I'm almost there.
Minimum age for Congress is
She's
25.
33.
25, there you go.
President.
So 35 for president.
Jamie, she's
okay.
2 days younger than you. Her birthday is October 13th, 1989.
Oh, she's a Libra. I get it.
She's
I
a
get it. Stir the
Libra.
shit. Stir the shit. Stir the shit.
She
Dang.
Joe Biden was
This
asked
is-
about Alzheimer's drugs and he replied back like Back to the Future chocolate chip cookie or something like that. So I don't really think that I'm not trying to make light of it, but I'm not
Cat Williams,
Come on,
that's
man.
who it is.
there's
The
something about-
comedian Cat Williams. He's so funny. He's like, everyone's joking about Joe Biden. He can't even do this. He can't even say his name. He's like, motherfucker's 98 years old. I'm lucky if I can say my name.
For
his
real.
his
For
quote
real.
about George W. Bush has been one of mine and Shane's favorites for a very long time.
How does
How
somebody
can one guy fuck up
fuck up
everything?
Have you
Everything.
seen someone clone Tyrone?
No, I want to though. It looks
It's so
interesting.
good.
It looks interesting.
And it reminds me of like the Kanye conspiracy, but then it also reminds me of when we see someone that rapidly declines. Joe Biden was one of those people I feel like rapidly declined. I mean, like when
Bill Clinton. Bill
like,
Clinton
even-
used to be like full of life, and now he looks like a fucking
All of a sudden,
demon that like all of his
gone.
life sucked out of him.
To be fair,
I mean, he's locked in a room with Hillary, so
Can we just
No,
admit
Hillary is glowing.
remember there was that funny ass meme and it was like him before
I
and then
promise
him
Hillary, I
after
did not sleep with
Monica,
that
and it was
woman.
like and it was like
Yeah.
Monica sucked the life out of him literally.
I want to know
Mhm.
about that blue dress painting.
Oh, Epstein's photo.
Mm.
Epstein's photo of Bill.
can I
Something
you know,
about
Yes.
the man in the dress.
people are like putting it on Joe Biden though that I like I'm hearing kind of a little bit that he's declined so much and he used to be some bright guy. This guy has always been a dipshit. Excuse my language.
He
Like,
was
have you
the
heard
whole
the
time,
things
yeah.
he said like in the hit in it? He is like not just said them. He's been in front of Congress speaking, making these speeches,
Yeah.
talking about crack, talking about black people, talking about gay people, talking
I
about
feel like he needs
anyone.
to be on
whoever-
his game, but also you have to remember that it's different now than it is then. Back then, you could have those conversations. People didn't take it personally or be like, "That's not PC" or "That's racist."
He was wildly
It was
incorrect about
okay.
all of those topics.
But lots
Sorry.
of people
Yeah,
talk like that.
No, but I'm not saying that the trigger word. I'm not saying the words he was saying at all. I'm saying the things he was pushing in Congress and the things he was talking about when he was trying to speak on their behalf were downright idiotic. Like, and the guy has flat out claimed to be like the brightest guy in his school. He's never been a smart guy at all. I think his son is a representation of him. Joe Biden literally spent his career trying to be closest to the butthole of the overlord that was going to get him in office and finally got his dues. He's nothing more than like the halftime show Adam Levine that's like, finally, it's my time. I could be the halftime guy. It's like, yes, we get it. You did all the ABC, NBC television shows at night judging people for years, and finally you paid your dues. You can play the halftime thing. Joe Biden voted on every stupid thing and never thought for himself. And when he ever did thought for himself, he displayed his absolutely minute thinking capability by saying things like, we're going to fix this crack epidemic by jailing anyone with a crack. Like endlessly. That was the solution, to just start jailing endless people. There was no other, police it, figure out its sources, nothing. And his own son does the crack that he once put thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in jail for. His son lives the 10 crack commandments.
Sometimes that's someone's karma. It might not be that he was doing crack then. Sometimes I think it's people's karma. They hate and they put down something, and then they're given that in their own life, and then they have to reflect and think differently from then on.
I mean, it says something about the system though, where that you were left with two choices of Biden and Trump. Like, because
I've done crack.
I flipped a coin. I'll be 100% honest with you when I voted.
We're so much better than a dictatorship because the dictatorship has one option and we have two. And you can't vote on them. So they get to the primary without anyone really having a say. Does anyone like all the debate right now? All of this is all a joke. There's nothing to it. You don't live in a swing state and you don't get to vote on them.
pretend like I pulled that. I know that's in there somewhere, but I feel like we should talk about it before it's old news.
What, the debate?
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to find it because everything.
All right, so we'll do the debate as our last topic. So Bree, pretend to pull one, and then be like,
Okay,
oh,
but I have to find it because if I don't, we'll pull it another day.
and then you throw it.
I saw
you.
3 clips. The first clip was one, boom, a guy saying the president is a person who stands for truth and justice and visibility. It was like listening to someone talk to kindergartners. It's like, what is a president to you? The president is a person who tries to make sure everyone has 3 square meals a day. Or something. It's like, what?
No, between Hillary and Trump at the time.
It was awful. That debate was awful.
Not Trump and Biden. I didn't have to think about that. I actually made sure to vote in person so it would, because of all of the voter fraud accusations. I was like, okay, then I'm gonna walk my ass down there like 6:30 at night. Presbyterian.
To what Jeff is saying, yeah, the only way that you have a vote in whether or not any of these Republicans end up being the presidential candidate is if you are a registered Republican in a swing state. So it's kind of fucking ridiculous that they even have these stupid things because it's really only meant for like 2 states and like that is it.
It's also who has the most money. That's literally who has the most money.
And realistically, yeah, it's who has the most money. And it's not even about, it's who the Republican Party wants to nominate at the end of the day, and not about who the people want the Republican Party to nominate. They want you to believe that you have a say, like you're getting this like primary election little ballot thing that you're like, ooh, I want this person to be my candidate. But at the end of the day, they're not making their decision based off of realistically who you're voting for. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want and whoever's going to put their agenda going forward. So I think a lot of these debates are a little bit stupid when it comes to that sense. Like I think you should get to the final stage where it's like, you know, the 2 that you're picking from, but these like smaller ones, I find them ridiculous, especially them being as nationalized as they are because they are not meant for a national crowd.
Yeah, but they have to. In order to make people feel like their vote actually matters, they have to do all of that. I'm going to call it now. I think it's going to come down to DeSantis and Pence, at least for the Republican Party. I hope that, what's his name that I mentioned earlier, and I will not say how I described him earlier. What was his name? Who?
Vivek something. The thing that everyone's kind of ignoring is the fact that in the polls, Trump has a 60-point lead on everybody. That's why he didn't even bother turning up.
No, that's one of the reasons for sure.
Let me just say, it's because we keep getting bad after
and he can exonerate himself
bad
as well,
after
I'm
worse.
sure. He can pardon himself.
The United States has been swinging to extremes, one to the other and one to the other. We get one horrible Democrat, so then we're going to swing to the craziest Republican, and then we're going to swing to the craziest Democrat, and then we're going to swing to the craziest Republican. That's how it is because people just get caught up in the moment.
Forth, yeah.
Well, it's because the media has a vested interest in causing ideological division because
I just can't get beside this one guy. What's his name again? KARI? Vivek. That his 3 takeaways that I heard were to take away funding from the school system. So he would completely wipe out all funding of our school system, to put more police in our streets, and that climate change isn't real. Those are the 3 big points, and we think that's something to cheer for. Like, we're in trouble.
But this is what
any of us do.
They've. I'm going to say something ridiculous, but I truly believe that anyone who tries to run for president and thinks they can make it or just makes it all the way to this position is in some way a criminal. At least choosing to be unethical for a reason. First off, none of these people that you're seeing up there, except one of them, so I say none, but I really mean all but one, are going to be selected for the primary. And that selection has already been made in some overlord's mind somewhere, or political group. So we said political party, but we're talking about who runs that political party. So if that shameful decision by American Supreme Court that allows super PACs to give as much money as they want means something, we can see now that corporate overlords fund all these people. All of the people you see on stage, except one, are all taking money from the public. Pay for me. Come on. I'm going to be president. They're all taking it knowing that they're going to lose and have to concede and tell now I want you to.
It's a massive racket.
Hey, you know that person I was just saying is a criminal and don't vote for them? Turns out I was wrong. After you gave me a minute, I want you to. So we live in a world.
Now I back up so.
It's a show. Someone already knows. So all these people are willingly going out there raising money. And they were like, this person's good because she cried next to the orphanage at the border. Meanwhile, she just went around collecting money.
It's adult pageanting. Like they're rolling out these full-grown people, making them do their whole speech of "I wish for world peace" and da da da. And
well, it's just Manchurian candidatism. Is that word? Candidatism?
I think it shows that they obviously aren't themselves when almost all of our politicians, including the ones that we saw at the debate last night, saw a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of back and forth videos where they start out making claims and they're against something. And then when it comes to being there at the podium, they say the complete opposite. And that's okay, obviously that's not them because they stood by something and then they get persuaded by the party and then also by the votes. I think at some point it just becomes the votes. And I think that people have learned from Trump that sometimes you just have to say the most outrageous, just baffling extremist idea because you're bold enough to make the statement. And if you're bold enough to make the statement, then you're bold enough to stand for America at all costs. That's what I think, because we need a savior. America has a major savior complex, just like most people. We're looking for our Lord and Savior that's going to come and just wipe away all our problems and really stick it to the man. And I think that's how Trump has placed himself in this statue type of figure. And now I think that most parties, especially the Republican Party, are going to try to emulate that. Because that's what we think we need. We think we need this major savior that's going to fight for America, say what they want, be bold enough to make those.
Well, they're going after the populist vote.
Space
this is why I get this. Another reason why Trump decided to forego the cable debate that gets a mass audience of maybe 1 million people, and post an interview on Twitter that got worldwide reach of 200 million people in 24 hours. That's how you get the populist vote. Is you don't bother with the systems that stop populism.
Herein lies a theory I've had for a while, which was Obama made Trump possible because Obama really come along.
He was a populist president as well.
Yeah, he came along and he sensationalized the social media. It was very new at the time.
Yeah, he was definitely the first social media president.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, because Obama went out and set out quite a lot of these agendas against some of these things, they then learned from that, adapted, if we can't beat them, join them sort of technique. And then they've come in with the craziest fucking outlier because they've looked at the algorithm. They've done what Obama and his people did way smarter. Because if you look at what is the most paid thing on TikTok right now is some girl making popping sounds and stuff.
Oh, the NPC.
Yeah, the NPC person. So this is what I mean is it shows that mass people really do connect with absurdity. So I feel like that's why we're seeing more and more absurd talking points being pushed and stuff like that, is because they took a beating in the Obama campaign and now they're not going to lose like that again.
You make such a good point with the absurdity thing, and it just reminded me, I forgot to bring this up earlier, is that Trump spent time in the WWE. Do you remember that?
Yeah, right.
And they because the WWE now has a partnership with the UFC, a lot of those fighters that they see as being stars, they want them to literally go to a class in order, because a wrestler doesn't just wrestle. It's a show, so they got to be able to use the microphone and all that stuff. So they actually send these fighters off to go, because a lot of fighters are stale. They get out there and they're like, I did this for whoever, and really, they want exactly. Look at the impact of someone like that. Conor McGregor hasn't fought in 3 years, but if a guy gets a pay-per-view, he'll sell more than all the pay-per-views combined in the last year. Crazy, because he just talks shit, and he was really good, but he did talk so much shit, and it was so
people
absurd.
Want to see it, yeah.
How absurd can you get?
Presence. Well, that's kind of what JAIMIE was saying before Trump was nominated was that America would vote for him because we love basically watching a shit show. We love seeing a like a
Celebrity
reality
drama,
TV,
reality
yeah,
TV, yeah.
drama.
No, I think it's like it's in your
we did it here
country's
in the
DNA.
UK.
Your country was literally formed from a shit show, so it's in your DNA to be enthralled
watch
by
yourself.
the shit show.
Watch
I mean,
yourself.
you caused
Yeah.
the shit show. Yeah,
I think that's like
We escaped your fuckism is what we did. Go
Yeah.
America. Yeah, fuck you, Carl.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys have a civil war that had like
Evil.
the most deaths out of any war in history?
I don't know about that.
We were
you're
trying to
wrong.
get rid of the
History in one
racists.
battle.
I was
like,
gonna say
Gettysburg
you're
had,
very
like,
no. You're again. You're very
300,000
wrong.
people.
You're
No, I
still
know.
very
All
wrong.
right,
I caught
all right,
myself.
you guys, do we have any final thoughts of the episode before we skedaddle on out of here? My
I
final
do. I
thought
think we're
is-
screwed, and I don't think I should vote this year.
Should be
Okay.
fine.
Well, there's not an election this year, so
Well, you know what I
think
mean.
that-
Actually, I'm sure there's some type of voting I could do
Charlie
on
Wellington the moon.
something.
I vote for Pedro.
What
for
the fuck,
Pedro.
Pedro?
Vote for
I
Pedro.
think that the same boiling water that makes an egg hard also makes a potato soft. So you shouldn't let your environment dictate you. You should dictate your environment.
I love it.
That is the most
Fertilize.
Irish saying I've ever heard in my life.
It's
Right.
Anyone
pretty
else's
Irish.
final thoughts? That was mine. What about you, Kari?
That was
Final thoughts?
excellent, Jamie. I'm
My
impressed.
final thought is.
All right. Hot
I
Jeff,
hope
what
I
about
see you
you?
guys soon. No promises.
I appreciate you, no one actually inviting me here, but showing up.
I'm inviting you now for
To be
next
fair, I
Thursday.
vaguely remember
Yeah,
it
you're-
now.
you
have
I
an
vaguely
official invite.
remember typing it.
I
Yeah,
want to
you come
wish
over.
Bottled Water in the chat there. I hope he's doing well out there. I
Love
saw him in the
Tony.
chat. Hope Tone Malone there is doing okay. And we covered a variety of really awesome topics tonight, everyone. I think you should be proud of
We did.
yourself, how professional we were. But seriously, anyone who runs for president is a criminal. All right.
I agree.
All right.
All right, Shane.
I concur. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Until my sister
That's fine.
runs, yes.
All right.
I can see
Kari,
Nicole running for president.
play
Me
your
too.
weird video and
right.
roll us out.
Bye, people. Enjoy
Bye,
the
guys.
musical.
We love you. We'll see you
Have a
on
great
Tuesday
weekend.
on Twitch.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I'm sorry. You thought this was a real thing? That we were actually together? Boys, come quick. She was buying it the whole time. I don't know what else to say. I guess all that's left to say is, oops. I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh, baby, baby, oops. You think I'm in love, got sent from above. Turns out I'm not that innocent. Get her out of here. What do you mean, who? It's Britney, bitch.